back to another video. Today I'm gonna be going through my makeup routine, specifically talking about my tips for doing your makeup if you have chubby cheeks or a round face, whatever you want to call it. I have had very chubby cheeks for my entire life, huge when I was born. When I was a toddler, my cheeks, I always say that my face was literally the shape of a butternut squash because my cheeks were just so much wider than the rest of my head. Like, I have had disproportionately chubby cheeks for as long as I can remember. And even though I've grown into them a little bit, they're just still there. They're never gonna go away. And I don't want to sound like they're this big imperfection that you have to try to negate using makeup. In fact, my tips are kind of the opposite. My main tip is to never try to make yourself look chiseled with makeup because it's just not gonna work. I think if you're a little bit insecure about your chubby cheeks or you just want to look a little bit more snatched with makeup, rather than try to make your face look chiseled, shift your goal to making your face look lifted, making your cheeks look lifted, your eyes look lifted, your brows look lifted, all of your features looking lifted to kind of counteract where the weight of your cheeks are going. All right, the first thing I do is just put on a little lip balm. Always the necessary first step. And I actually do kind of a weird order, so I'm just gonna do it the order that I usually do it in. If you wanna do it in a different order, by all means, you don't have to follow any of this if you don't want to. So kind of my main tip is to not go too heavy with makeup. Like I said, you don't want your face to look heavy and droopy if you're trying to kind of counterbalance the weight of your cheeks. And that goes for every part of your makeup. You don't want your skin makeup to be heavy, but you also don't want your eye makeup to be heavy. And I don't do a crazy cat eye or anything, but I do focus on trying to make my eye makeup lift the outer corners of my eyes. And that's not necessarily because of my chubby cheeks. I more so do that because I have naturally downturned eyes, which also tends to add a tiny bit of droopiness to my face. I've never been a big eyeliner girl, so I just use a dark eyeshadow and I apply it kind of like eyeliner. And I just do a little bit on the bottom, but only on the outer half. And I kind of rub most of it off after I do that. Next, I actually go in with blush. I told you I do this in a weird order, but my tip for blush when you have chubbier cheeks is to focus it a bit higher up, just like where the sun would hit. I don't focus it a ton in the middle. I kind of just focus it on the high points of my face. And I'll also do a tiny bit on my nose. And then I'll blend it out. I think subconsciously the reason I do blush first is because I have naturally rosy cheeks, so I don't mind if the blush gets a bit toned down by the rest of the makeup that I put around and over top of it. Next, I go in with some sort of bronzer. This is a contour one, but I don't really contour with it. Again, I just focus it on places where I would get sun. So I do kind of focus it a tiny bit below where I put my blush, but I keep it pretty high up and towards the outside of my face. I'm not sucking in and putting it down here because down here is where I carry the most weight in my face and there's just no way it's gonna look chiseled. Darkening down here is just going to focus the attention on the lower part of my face and it's just gonna look bottom heavy. So I put it about there. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more. I'll also put a little bit of this on my nose. Again, the goal is just to make it look like I got tan. It's not to contour. So I put it where the sun would hit. And I do it very haphazardly, as you can tell. And then I will blend it out, being pretty careful not to bring it down too low as I blend. I know this looks a little bit crazy because I haven't done concealer yet, so it's all just kind of dark and I look kind of like a raccoon. But I really like finishing with concealer just because it's satisfying to go from like, I don't know, I feel like it makes the biggest difference. And so I feel like it's a nice thing to end on. It really brings it all together and makes you look so much cleaner. And I prefer using a brush over something like a beauty blender just because I can really choose exactly where I want to focus the blending. I feel like a beauty blender is so big and fat that it kind of just like goes all over, and I like to really have control over where I'm placing all of my products. Now I will go in with concealer, and you'll see I only do a tiny amount. I have always had super dark circles under my eyes, not even circles, more like lines. Like even when I was super young, I had them very dark, no matter how much sleep I get. So I'm very seasoned in trying to cover them up. And I have found that what works the best is using a tiny bit of concealer. I used to use concealer like all under my eyes, and I feel like it was kind of counterproductive because when you're putting concealer everywhere, you still see the difference between the darker part of your under eye versus the lighter part. In order to cover it up effectively, you really have to put most of the product where it's actually dark, if that makes sense. So now I go in with this little brush and blend it out. Again, because I like to focus my concealer only on that darker part of my under eye, I don't like to use beauty blenders because I feel like they're not really like specific enough. So I pretty much do that. Obviously I blend it more, but like that's where most of the product is gonna stay. And I'll even kind of take it a little bit into my eye because it helps brighten up the inner part. And then I'll just make sure it's blended out a little bit. Gosh, my eye looks scary on camera. It's huge. And some people will put concealer or like whatever lighter colored foundation underneath their bronzer to really like chisel them out further. Again, I don't do that. These are all things I've experimented with in high school. I used to spend so long on my makeup before school in high school because I was just an insecure little teen. But I have so much experience experimenting with all of these different techniques, and I can tell you that putting any kind of makeup, even if it's light, on the bottom part of your cheeks just weighs your face down. It looks heavy and weighs your face down. So I put literally nothing on this part of my cheeks where all of my buccal fat is. The less attention that's drawn to it, the better. And you might think all of these different techniques to try to make your face look skinnier are gonna help you, but in reality, the best thing you can do is just focus your attention everywhere else, and then that's where everyone else's attention will go to. I think I'm gonna add a tiny bit more bronzer up here where I would get a bit of a tan. And again, I really do not want to perpetuate the idea that chubby cheeks are ugly and bad and stuff, because like obviously beauty standards are just so weird and ever changing. Like half of the people want buccal fat removal and the other half want to get filler in their cheeks. There's really no winning in this day and age. I just feel like makeup is fun, and I mean this in the most lighthearted way. These are just the tips and techniques that I like to use when I'm doing my makeup, and they make me feel more comfortable in my own skin. I'm happy with how that base looks, so I'm gonna add a teeny bit of powder just under my eyes and in my T-zone. I just use a little translucent powder. Next up, I'm just going to brush up my brows. And brows are another thing that I think really help to lift your face if you do them correctly. I have always had pretty full brows, and they've always been super arched naturally. Like they're almost a right angle. Like they're super arched. And my tail of my brow naturally goes like down pretty far. And I got my eyebrows done once, and this lady gave me a piece of advice that changed my eyebrow life forever. She said the tail of your brow should never be lower than the starting point of your brow. So if your tail's drooping lower, it's gonna droop your eyes and your eyebrows and bring your face down. If you want to have that lifted look, the tail should end at least at the same height as the beginning of your brow or a little bit higher. I've always thought I've just had a naturally droopy eyebrow shape because they're so angled, but she just removed the end of my tail until the tail was the same height as the front of my brow, and it gave it such a more lifted look. Like it was the tiniest amount that she took off, and it made such a difference. So again, if your goal is to lift your face and draw the attention away from maybe the droopy part of your face, eyebrows can really help with that. Next, I'm gonna do a little bit of mascara, and same thing, you can probably guess what I'm gonna say. I focus it on the outside so that it kind of lifts them up and out, as opposed to evenly dispersing the weight and having a big, heavy, clumpy eye. And I don't put any mascara on my bottom lashes because again, I think it weighs your face down a bit. And that's why I put that tiny bit of eyeshadow under my eye. I feel like if I leave my under eye totally bare, it looks a little bit unfinished and weird. So I put that tiny bit of darker eyeshadow under my eye just to balance it out because I don't like to put mascara on my bottom lashes. Next, I'm just gonna go in with this lip liner that's pretty much the exact color of my lips. And I don't really overline my bottom lip because my bottom lip is naturally plumper than my top lip, but I do overline my top lip a tiny bit just to balance it out with my bottom. And my little lip liner hack that I have gotten my mom onto is to connect these 2 points at your Cupid's bow. You don't have to if you like the look of the little points. Sometimes I do like it, sometimes I think it's really classy, but sometimes I feel like it looks like your lip is just a bit flipped up if you fill in between. And then I will just kind of smudge it a tiny bit just with my fingers. I only do this sometimes, but since I'm filming, I will do it for fun. I have this little highlighter pencil that's meant for like the inner corner of your eyes and maybe like above your lips. I use it to really precisely highlight the tip of my nose. See where it's already kind of shiny right there? I guess it's like a bit of your cartilage that's a little pointier. I'll kind of connect that side with this side. And so I'll pop it like right there. And then I'll blend it out. And now my nose is turned red from rubbing it. I don't know if you can even tell on camera, but it just gives you that little teeny button nose look. And I think it's a little bit more flattering placed right there than if you place it like right on top. The last thing that I do is something that I literally have never done. I've never been a lip gloss girl. I don't know why. I think it's just because the like stickiness grosses me out. But I went to Mecca the other day and it was my birthday month last month, so they gave me my little birthday gift and it was just this clear lip gloss. So I've been trying it out and I love it. It's so not sticky, and I'm pretty sure the Mecca brand isn't that expensive. I haven't tried many lip glosses, but this one is so silky. It's not sticky at all and it just looks so good. And then I'll just finish by brushing my eyebrows up one more time. I feel like I brush my eyebrows like 5 different times throughout doing my makeup because it's just so satisfying. I don't know why. That is it. That's literally all I do. I feel like less is more when it comes to doing natural makeup that kind of lifts your face and keeps it weightless. And now you get to play with your hair. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. I hope you learned a couple new tips. Again, I just want to reiterate for the 1000th time, there's nothing wrong with having chubby cheeks. They're very cute. You'll probably want them when you're older, but I do understand and empathize if you feel like you can never recreate any of the makeup looks that you see on Pinterest because your face is just a unique shape compared to most models that are on Pinterest. So hopefully you can take some of this advice and create a makeup routine that looks for you, that makes you feel confident and helps you embrace your chubby cheeks instead of wanting to grow out of them. I also just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who is subscribed to my channel. I know I am such a small YouTuber, and even I admit that when I go on YouTube and I'm looking for new videos to watch, I often don't pick the ones with only a few views, and even less often than that do I subscribe to a channel with not that many subscribers. It's a harsh world out there on YouTube, and even I find myself discrediting creators that don't have that much of a following. So if you are one of the people that has actually hit subscribe on my channel, I just want to give you a big thank you because it really, really does mean a lot and I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next week. Bye.